First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from October 14th meeting. Get a motion to approve the minutes. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Budgetary transfers, can we get a motion to approve?
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
These microphones, these speakers back here aren't working, I don't think.
I'll lean in a little closer, that might help.
Thank you.
That better?
Yeah. Yes.
Next, we have the presentation of monthly bills. This is a roll call vote. Can we get a motion to approve the bills?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Eisenhower,
John, you still there?
Yes, sorry.
Oh.
All right, you're on for roll call for the monthly bills.
Yeah, I agree.
Mr. Hess,
Yes, except for Sweet Stevens, no.
Mrs. Cucurlo,
Yes.
Mr. Lanning,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mr. Nespoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Post,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Yost.
Yes. Superintendent's report?
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to take a moment to express our gratitude for all of our veterans for their service and sacrifice. Veterans Day is a time for us to reflect on the courage and dedication and commitment of those who have served in our defense of our country. Their contributions ensure the freedoms we cherish, and we are proud to recognize their bravery and honor their legacy today and every day. Thank you all, to the veterans and their families, for their unwavering commitment to our nation. Thank you. When we had discussed the transitional kindergarten classrooms, the classroom space at East Berwick is ready, and the teacher will be starting.
Those will be starting in the very beginning of December.
In the very beginning, but the spaces are ready and they're prepared for the transition of those students. And that's all I have.
Thank you. That brings us to public comment. Agenda items only for this round. Please state your name and township or borough. You are here representing a group or an organization. Please state your official role. For example, president, vice president, executive director, director of operations, or what have you. And please share your identification number for your organization.
Ready?
Ready.
My name is Dan Jensen. I live in Hollenbach Township. It's in the district. I'm alumni. My family, my siblings, my wife's family, her siblings, my kids, we're all property owners in the district, so we have stock in our district. Now, the proposals that you put forth for policy, I've looked at. They seem neutral to me, and I'm happy with it, and I would appreciate very much if you follow through with them. Now, I just want to remind everybody here that in 1963, something happened. They pulled God's word out of the school. Now, I want everybody to remember that this country was founded on biblical Judeo values, and they took that away from us way back then. Well, it does have significance to the founding of our country, and it should be a book that should be allowed in school. I know it's not going to happen, but it did, and back in those days, it happened. It was part of our history, and when we teach history in our schools, shouldn't we be using biblical virtue and values? Certainly we should be. We're not. But anyway, that's my opinion. Stay neutral. Stay the course. Thank you.
My name is Christina Bertzel-Colbert, Salem Township. I am a homeowner, taxpayer, alumni, social worker, and very, very proud mom. Tonight is the second reading of two policies that will harm students in this district, policies 824 and 123.3. And I am once again begging you to stop these policies from moving forward tonight. Policy 824, maintaining professional boundaries. This policy remains too vague in some parts and too specific in others. It will do nothing to protect the district and do everything to make teachers afraid to talk to students and afraid to teach. This then will also take away possibly the only safe adult in that child's life. We don't need this policy, so please do not move it forward. Policy 123.3, interscholastic athletics, sex-based distinctions. Like I expressed when this was proposed months ago, this policy targets our transgender kids, which goes against Title IX. Yes, I am fully aware, as was pointed out by an individual from Citizens Advisory last month, that we have Moms for Liberty members in our community, which means that we don't have to follow Title IX changes. And yes, I know that Title IX provisions for gender identity and sexual orientation may very soon be wiped out. But once again, to quote Beyonce, this ain't Texas or Florida or Oklahoma. We are in Pennsylvania. And this policy will violate the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission's binding regulations, which protect LGBTQ students from discrimination in public schools. So while I know some of you might be feeling very emboldened right now to pass these and other harmful policies, please don't forget that we are in Pennsylvania, where the law is on the side of protecting LGBTQ kids. I know for some of you, there is absolutely nothing I can say to convince you. But for the rest, I implore you, once again, look at Central Bucks, who spent over $1 million fighting their culture war against the LGBTQ community in that district. Is it worth passing these completely unnecessary policies? Is it worth the controversy that is coming to the boardroom every single month? Is it worth the financial cost to us, to the taxpayers? Is it worth making our teachers afraid to teach? And is it worth the lives of our queer children? Our LGBTQ kids are terrified right now. Suicide hotline calls have increased 700% in the last week. This district needs to send a clear message to these vulnerable kids. Instead of telling them that they are not safe or welcome in this district by passing these types of policies, this school board does not care about protecting their lives. Let's get rid of these policies and show our kids that they are welcome and accepted and loved just as they are. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tanya Cleaver and I'm the VAEA president. In late October, I sent all of you an email, all of the school board members, and I communicated my concerns specifically about policy 824, in which I expressed my concern, my own personal concern and apprehensions that were conveyed to me by my colleagues. As of now, I've only received responses from 3 of you, either directly or indirectly. I don't think it's neutral. I look at this as I remain very concerned about the mental well-being of most of our students, especially the most vulnerable ones. I don't think a hug has anything to do with neutrality, as it is just a kid who needs a hug in the classroom. I actually have some questions that I wanted to pose to you for future consideration. What was the origin of this policy? Was it intended as a guideline for a reference or as a draft? What is the process should an employee refuse to comply? Who will be accountable for its implementation? And did the school solicitor conduct a review of these policies prior to their first reading or presentation at a public meeting?
Hi, I'm Angie Davis, Berwick. I'm also teacher, second grade teacher at West Berwick Elementary. And I just want to speak a little bit too about policy 824. I think I'm just hoping for some clarification, and my concern, and I'm sure it's gone through many of your minds, that as a primary teacher, if a second grader comes to me for a hug, they need a hug. If they're coming to their teacher, we've got a demographic, we have some very needy children, we just do, and it's a tender age. I want to know that I'm protected and that I'm supported if I give that child a hug. I think the worst thing I could do is back off and put my hands up. The day I have to do that is the day I don't want to teach anymore. So, and I'm hoping for some clarification. I realize that is going to be hard, and I don't envy the position you're in to try to make it clear, but just please understand that that is a concern that some of us are having. Thank you.
My name is Brad Conklin. I live in the district. I live in Hollenbach Township, and I see the side, both sides, but I have to agree with Mr. Jensen that it seems to me that this is it's as fair as it can be, and if we start targeting people to make them special or targeting people to make them less than special, it's a problem. So I think it's way better just to make it a balanced approach, and it seems like that's what the board has been trying to do, and I'm in favor of keeping it as it is.
Crystal Mikulowski, Nescapec. With regard to policy 24, I've been to many, many meetings. This resigning, this person resigning, this person resigning. In this district, it seems we have a very hard time keeping our teachers especially. We need to support our teachers. Whatever they need, they should be able to have. And with my two children in the district, if my child needs a hug, I sure hope that teacher is able to give them a hug. My daughter has been through a lot with closing in Escapec and everything else. Thank God she has the teacher she does to support her through that. If they weren't able to be able to give her a hug, support her, be there for her, I don't know what she would have done. We have to support our teachers, and they have to be able to teach. They have to be able to give love and support, especially for children's homes that don't get it at home. We are not all in good situations. These children need the love and support of the teachers as much as they can get. They're not grooming them. It's not anything inappropriate. It's love and support that some of these kids don't have elsewhere. So please keep that in mind when you're passing these policies. In addition to the volunteer policy for 916, it's hard to get volunteers to support the teachers, to support these activities. And now you're making it even harder. There's all of these, qualifications that are needed for this policy, yet I'm not on the list for middle school volunteers because I haven't gone through the 3-hour mandatory reporter training yet. That's not in this policy, but it's in the handbook. The policy references the handbook. It should be clear, black and white, what a volunteer needs to get done to be able to help out for the teachers, for the district, and for the students. It's hard to get people. Don't make it worse. Thank you.
Hi, Sue Zarrett. I'm a teacher at the Berwick Middle School. I've been a teacher in the district for 26 years, and I would like to discuss Policy 824, specifically under social interactions. Number 1, disclosing any of the following to one or more students, personal and private matters or concerns, and family and private matters or concerns. I encourage everybody here to think about your favorite school experiences and memories and the teachers who provided them. The classes I enjoyed most were the ones with teachers or professors who shared stories of their life experiences. They were engaging. Their stories inspired me to explore and get out and experience the world. They taught me more than the subject they were teaching. When I had breast cancer in 2016 and 17, I shared with my students. They knew shortly after I was diagnosed, and of course they were going to notice, and I didn't want them to be scared. So I encouraged them to ask questions. The morning that my hair started to fall out, which was at the gym on a Thursday morning, I cried in the shower, and when I got to school, I let all my students know that my hair had started to fall out, and then on Monday I probably would be bald, and indeed I was. During my treatment, I didn't miss much school, I didn't stop working out, and I didn't wear wigs. They saw it all, and we talked about it all. And I just want to say that human connection is important. And last year at the prom, I had a student come up to me. He was a senior, and he was in 6th grade when I went through that experience. And he came and he asked me about my health. He saw my long hair, and he said, I just wanted to come and tell you congratulations, and I'm really happy that you're healthy. I want to move on quickly to numbers 5, 6, and 16. I won't read out what they are, but I just want to say many times I've had students who seem off. I might ask them out in the hallway to inquire if everything's all right because I noticed they haven't been themselves. They appreciate having someone show concern, and sometimes they'll open up and share, and other times they'll just brush it off and say they're fine. But the bottom line is either way, they're knowing there's someone there looking out for them, and it makes a difference. These kids come into school every day with baggage that you can't begin to imagine if you're not in these schools every single day. We have students who have incarcerated parents, who are being raised by grandparents, who are homeless, whose parents are drug addicts, who are suffering abuse at home, who are struggling with identity issues, and who are being bullied online. And they keep a lot of it to themselves, and when they seek out one of us to talk to about it, it's because they trust me. They trust me, not their guidance counselor, not their principal. They don't have a relationship with them, they have a relationship with me. So building these personal relationships, I understand we want to put some safety guide rails in place for inappropriate behavior, but giving a kid a hug when they need a hug, giving a high five or a fist bump or a special handshake is not inappropriate, and I want you to know that not having somebody to talk to can lead to certainly devastating circumstances. I had more, but my time is up.
I'll do it. Hi, Steve Montage from Berwick. What have you done for training? Instead of going directly to dictating things, what training has been offered? And let's just think about that.
Nancy Hickson, Berwick Borough. I said it once, I'll say it again, culture. You guys have brought that up a lot when you wanted to be elected. This shows exactly hearing the two there and hearing both sides. I'm not on either. I'm just saying that sometimes it's better to not have things there that can, from one side, be thought of, it's a bad situation, from this side, it's a good situation. Make sure whatever policies you are implementing, that you are going to have them be followed. You already made one a month ago that isn't being followed. Not sure we want to go down that road, but don't add more policies that your employees now are worried about doing their job because of what you're going to take. Get your culture as a board to support everybody here and make policies that everybody wants.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go first. Hi, my name's Jared Pyegovich. I live in Fountainville. I went to Berwick many moons ago, and I had a very unique experience here. And I wanted to touch on a few things that I noticed when I was here, and hopefully they've changed, but it sounds as though they may not have. So first I want to touch on mental health needs. You know, we talked a little bit about giving hugs and things like that, and when I went through school at Bloomsburg University, they told us our job is to make a student feel safe, valued, and create a constructive environment for them to learn. And if giving a hug is what it takes, so be it. I don't think that's the end of the world. And going along with that is mental health needs. It is a basic right for them to have those needs met, and it's our responsibility, us as citizens, you as the board, to help make sure that those needs are met. And whether that be through a hug or through my next point, I think it's something to really consider, because when I went through Berwick High School especially, bullying was the normal. Harassment was the normal. Assault was the normal. If you were different, if you stood out, you were picked on, you were beat up. And I really hope that it's not that way anymore. But I've heard stories otherwise. So, moving on, I've heard about, is it 123.1? That's right. I just want to quote a few statistics for you to consider. And again, this goes back to keeping mental health priority. LGBTQIA youth are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide, leaving 1 in 5 youth having attempted suicide. That means their straight peers attempt 1 in 20. They attempt 1 in 5. That is huge. And they're 45% more likely to consider suicide as the option to being bullied, to being beat up, to being harassed every single day. I hope you take what we all say under consideration, because we're not just speaking out of our 4th point of contact. We're speaking out of concern, care, and for some of us, parents, teachers, concerned citizens, whatever you want to say. I just truly hope you consider it. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, we will move on. We have 3 general items. Approve all these with one motion.
I request roll call for G1.
Roll call for G1.
Mr. Taylor?
Wait, we gotta get the motion when we get there. That's fine. That's fine. What's that? G1. When we get the little room, get the roll call. So can we get a motion for G1 and then we'll call that and we'll move to G2 and G3? Roll call, please.
Mr. Taylor?
Is it just for the policies, Jim?
Yes to all of them except 824. No to 824.
Mrs. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Nespoli?
Yes to all except 824.
Mrs. Moyer?
Yes to all except 824 and 916.
Mr. Lanning?
Yes.
Mrs. Capurlo?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
No, for the same reason I voted no for the last one. We need to do a better job enforcing the policies we have to make change the ones.
Mr. Eisenhower?
John, can you hear?
Okay, yes to everything except policy 824, specifically because of lines 4 and 16 and the exceptions.
Mr. Yost?
Yes. Okay, now G2 and G3. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Academic affairs, we have one item. Granting tenure, we get a motion to approve. Second. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Extracurricular, we have one item for out-of-state visitors.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Transportation, approval of drivers for Fishing Creek.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. For personnel, we have 12 items.
I have a question on P3. That's for the play, right?
Motion to approve personnel items 1 through 12.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Ayes. Oh,
I'm
sorry.
abstaining from, P7.
Yes, I can see.
The extensions.
That brings us to old business. Do we have anything? On to new business.
What are we gonna do about the Central Kids playing sports? What decision is it? Waiting on PIAA, now a final ruling, or?
Yeah, we have something scheduled.
Sorry, guys, I can't hear you. I'm going to get it wrong if I try to report that. What?
The District 2 and 4 committees have scheduled a hearing for Wednesday on that issue. A determination made at some point after that by them.
Is there anything else for new business? That brings us to the last round of public comment.
Krista Mikulowski, I don't know if everyone did the math, but I believe 824 did not pass. Just wondering if that is going to be the end of it, or if you're going to be looking into that policy further, to bring it back to the table. Just curious, and I know you won't answer, but just, we're gonna stay tuned and see what happens, but obviously, there is a vested interest. That's why everyone keeps coming out all of these meetings. I've been to a lot, and there's not ever this many meeting people here, so just curious to see how this is going to move forward.
Christina Burksell-Culver, Salem Township. I don't know how to explain to all of you that you should care about the lives of all of our students, including the LGBTQ ones. I would have thought that you became school board members because you wanted to ensure that our students are respected and safe and supportive and encouraged to be their very best selves. But you keep passing policies that will cause actual harm to these children. Children that you are all duty bound and vowed to protect. Policies like these, actually the same policies because they all came from the same place at all the school districts, but policies like these have been directly correlated to increases in bullying, which is already a huge problem in this district. Just look at Facebook posts by their parents. Increases in self-harm, increases in suicidal thoughts, increases in suicide attempts, and increases in deaths of our queer children. That is why I am so passionate. Over 1.8 million LGBTQ kids seriously contemplate suicide, like you heard, 4 times more than their peers. By the time I finish speaking, 4 queer children will have attempted to take their own lives in these 3 minutes. And before any of you say, see, they're mentally ill. No, the entire psychiatric community rejects that claim. Being gay or trans is the same as being right or left-handed, period. These children are depressed and suicidal because of the rejection and oppression and abuse at the hands of their peers, parents, extended family, religious leaders, politicians, and apparently some of our board members. So why? Why are you not doing everything in your power to support these children? Why are you choosing to call them harm? I know this isn't the end. You are now very emboldened to pass this and more terrible policies that will harm our queer kids. But I also know that though you came for the LGBTQ kids first, you're not done causing harm to other groups in this district. But we will be here fighting you every step of the way. When you come for our children of color, we will be here. When you come for our undocumented children, we will be here. When you come for our kids with disabilities, we will be here. When you come for any of our kids, we will be here. Until I am stripped of my First Amendment rights, we will be here. Because we do understand that we need to care about all of the children in this district. And we will fight to ensure that every child in this district is safe and supported and respected and encouraged to be their best selves. Their lives literally depend on it. I don't know how to make it any more clear than that.
Sam Jensen, come from the borough of Nescopeck. So, like a lot of people, I'm not super thrilled with some of this board's decision making. A little bit happier tonight. I appreciate you guys referencing Veterans Day earlier. Got some veterans in my family. Appreciate that very much. So there's a mantra that you hear a lot from people in the education community, Education Inc. People like to say that they're preparing students for the rest of their life, preparing students to succeed in the real world. Let's talk about the real world for a second. There is 2 genders in the real world, determined by your chromosomes. In the real world, people know what a woman is. In the real world, parents don't want their little girl athletes competing against boys. In the real world, Americans don't want indoctrination from the schools. We want education. In the real world, Christ is king. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the real world.
If you don't believe that, take yourself a walk right down Constitution Avenue down in Washington, D.C. and look at the buildings. Building after building after building after building all has a Bible verse on it. It's there, it's real. If you don't believe me or you don't want to go there, just look it up on Google Maps, stand yourself on the street and you can see the buildings. Now, I've heard a lot of complaining about children not getting enough solutions to their issues here at the school. This school is here for academics. We have social services that are filled with psychology professionals and all that. I recommend if you have students with this big an issue where they hurt themselves, cut themselves, kill themselves, whatever, it should be referred to them. The taxpayers are paying for education, not for all that other stuff. The other help is out there. All they got to do is go look for it. Okay. Amen. Thank you.
I'm going to speak once more. Again, Jared Pyovic, live in Foundyville. I just wanted to address something. Regardless of, you know, what your beliefs are, things like that. I served in the military for 16 years, and I fought to defend everybody's beliefs. It didn't matter if I agreed with Jim or Jane. We were together, and we had a common purpose. And I was sworn to protect I was sworn to do the right thing. And it just really kind of makes me feel some kind of way that as a veteran, what I swore to protect, rights of people to choose their lifestyle regardless of what somebody else thinks, can be infringed upon, basically. It kind of bothers me. Additionally, just to touch on something, I don't mean any disrespect, but I will always stand up and say that it is a teacher's job to know their student just as well as the parent does. They spend 8 hours a day with that student, somewhere between, 7:50 and 3 o'clock, so 7 hours, 10 minutes, something like that. But it is your job to know that student. If they're having an off day, you should support them. If they're having a bad week, you should support them. You have no clue what's going on outside, but when you start to support them, you find out. And then you start to build that relationship and you start to change their life. That's probably one of the most beautiful things you could ever do, is change a child's life for the better, not for the worse, not by just kicking them to the curb saying, well, it's a psychologist's job to fix you. No, you have an obligation there too. I'm pretty sure there's a mental health liaison somewhere within this district that can refer to various behavioral health needs, probably with the CSIU. And tax dollars pay for that, I believe. So there is a need for that. And it is a student's right. So regardless of whether you think it is not or is, it is clear tax dollars are being used to pay for their mental health and well-being. So please take that into consideration. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nathan Eskin. I went to Berwick High School. I live in Chickashinny. My dad went to Berwick High School also. And I just want you guys to keep in mind that this is not a very large town, and if the worst happens and a student commits suicide, you will be seen, right or wrong, by many of the people in this town as responsible, at least partly, and I want you to bear that in mind.
Hi, I'm going to shift gears. Lori and Beischlein for our Creek Township, 20-year taxpayer there. I'd like to address Mr. Taylor's question about the sports for Central Pathways students. You were given the correct answer that there's a hearing on Wednesday, but I think it's important for you to know that there was a document sent here to ask for approval or to basically say, is there a recruitment issue with this student? And Berwick declined to agree that there's not a recruitment issue with the student, so it had to be appealed to the PIAA to have a district hearing, which is a dissatisfier for parents, the students, and we've asked several times for this board to put policy 115 back on the agenda.
I wasn't aware.
I figured you weren't aware.
My name's Ellen Timbrell. I live in the Berwick Borough, but I lived my whole life in Briar Creek Township. I have gone to school with probably a lot of your kids. I was in schools when a lot of you were teachers. I will say, as a future mother, it is terrifying, some of the things that are being put out there, and the fact that people I know I went to school with, how their parents are acting in this room tonight. There needs to be a separation. We're not teaching the Bible in school for a reason. I don't have much other to say, but I am scared as a future mother I want to live in Berwick my whole life. And that's why I'm here. I plan on being here. Some people do not want to be their whole life here, but we're ignoring that because I do, and I care about this place, and I love the education that I got, and that's why I stayed here. And I need you to think about yourselves, because honestly, a lot of you are old in here, and it's not going to affect you. It's going to affect me, and it's going to affect my kids. So please think about that.
Anyone else? Summary of executive session was personnel and student discipline. The next regular meeting will be at 6 o'clock on December 3rd, as previously advertised. 7 o'clock in the agenda is a an error. You get a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor?
December 3rd.